bring something in. And then when I got back, because I thought you might have forgotten well, anyway, I didn't know what had happened because I wasn't in the house. I went to help my neighbour and I came back in and I saw however many missed calls. So I'm sorry, I just sent the text to you and the doorbell buzzed.
Oh, no, that's okay. I was just like, I was only 2 minutes late and she already cancelled me.
It had absolutely nothing. It had nothing to do with that. It was just a coincidence of the buzzer going and a neighbour needing some help. And in fact, what I thought was, I said to my neighbour, "Oh, that's good because the client hasn't come, so I can help you." Because otherwise, it would have obviously said, I wouldn't have answered the buzzer. Yeah, anyway, we're here. So you wanted to talk. So talk to me. What's happening?
Everything.
What's everything mean?
So last time I spoke to you, I told you about that that last fight that I had with Peter, that I literally begged him not to leave me and everything.
Yes, I remember.
So you recommended me try to step out of like my child side and just step into my adult side and just deal with it. And I took your advice and I did it. I don't know if I did the right thing because we had another fight that's happened again, and like now he's gone. Like he did leave because I didn't stop him.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't for part of me is obviously really sad, and I kind of wished that I had stopped him again. And, because I feel like he only ever does that in the middle of a fight.
Yes.
Never out of for no reason. And so I feel like it's just him overreacting because I've had a few relationships, and every relationship that I had, I actually broke up with all my ex-partners. And then when I broke up, I didn't break up in the middle of a fight. We got to a point that I wasn't even fighting for anything anymore, arguing anymore, because I didn't care enough to even argue about anything. So the feelings were completely gone. So that's the reason why I broke up. So I didn't have to break up or leave in the middle of an argument. I would just sit down and talk about it. So part of me thinks that he does that only when he's angry, and he does love me. That's why he doesn't try to leave when we're not arguing. But part of me is kind of glad that I let him go, because this keeps happening over and over again, and it's just really
But you know how I asked you, I asked you to step, into your adult and not let that child part, the part that was begging.
Yeah.
But of course, a child left you. Do you know what I mean? His child part left you. No grown-up would leave you in the middle of a fight without sitting down and talking about what's happening and how we can work this better. So what I'm saying is this time you didn't drop into your child part, but he did.
Yeah.
So I completely understand. It's devastating, and it's really, really hard. Has he tried?
Well, I told him that I wasn't going to stop him when he was packing and stuff. I said, I'm not going to stop you this time. And then he left, and I just tried to deal with it, and I did. But now I don't know if I regret, but I do regret, because I kind of wish that he was here still. But at the same time, to go through that every month, every couple of months, every argument, I feel he's just going to leave again, or try to leave again, and just feel like that. So it's just, so I'm happy. Yeah.
So has he tried to contact you since he left?
No, so I've been trying to put a lot of thought into it and try to understand why he feels like he wants to leave every time. And one of the reasons that I kind of think of is because he moved in with me. So maybe he doesn't feel completely at home, because it's I already lived in this apartment, so the lease is under my name. He does help with the bills and stuff, but he, the furniture, he pays half of bills, rent and stuff, but furniture is all mine. So when he moved out, all he has to take is his clothes and his stuff.
Yeah.
And the lease ex's mind, so he has no commitment to it. Nothing is under his name. So
Yes.
maybe it's because of that, because, I don't
Yeah.
know. But another thing that I think as well, because you were telling me that a lot of our big actions is related to our childhood, and then you
Yes.
think that I step on this child mood where I beg him to stay and all of that, and you think that has a lot to do with the fact that I didn't grow up with a dad, and
Yes.
then like losing my dad makes me feel abandoned every time a man is living my life and blah blah blah.
That's right.
So
Yep.
I feel like I know a little bit about his like childhood growing up, and I know his dad left like his mom when he was like about 12, I think 10, 12 years old, something like that. For about 5 years he left for another woman. That's
Right.
like what he knows. Obviously he doesn't know all the details ins and out of it, but he knows that much. And like maybe there's something to do with that. When things get difficult, he just feels like, bye, I'm leaving, instead of like, let's deal with it.
Carolina, this is the really funny thing about when people come together. So if you can stick together and sort of go through it, which sometimes you can do on your own and sometimes having a counsellor helps, then you can work through this stuff that comes from your childhood. It's almost like the wounded parts of you are meeting.
Yeah.
So if we think about that way, your wounded part, abandoned because of your dad, and he's got a wounded part, his dad left his mum. But if you can stick it out and work where it comes from and keep stepping back into your adult, you can grow and stay together. But if you don't do that, and it takes two people to do that, so this time you didn't beg him to stay, and so you broke the pattern.
But he still left.
Yeah, but he left because you're caught in a dysfunctional dance. Like, you shouldn't have to beg someone to stay.
Yeah. I feel like when I forgot what I was gonna say. No, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, no. You were probably going to say something about his childhood, or maybe you're begging him. Like, you broke the cycle. You just broke relationships. If you think about it like a dance, you were doing this dance where you'd fight. He'd say, "I'm leaving." You beg him to stay, and then he'd stay. But you were not sorting anything out. You just kept doing this same maladaptive dance, and you broke the pattern. You said, I'm not gonna ask you to stay this time. And if you think about that in terms of his dad left his mum, and
I'm not sure if that's the reason, but that's what I think.
It might not be that clean, but the thing is, you changed, but neither of you were looking at why you kept having this dysfunctional dance, which is what you were doing. You'd fight. He'd say, "I'm leaving," you beg him to stay, and this time you didn't, and he hasn't sort of woken up and said, "What am I doing? I love this woman. We just had a fight. Just because she doesn't beg me to stay doesn't mean I shouldn't turn back around and say, let's sort it out."
Because I feel like yes, we've been going through like a tough time, like we've been arguing a lot, and we keep doing this dysfunctional dance, like you said, like because I'm leaving, and for like every couple of months ever since we've been together, right? But I feel like if there's feelings, at least with me, every time I broke up with someone, or any of my friends that are close to me that tell me like everything that goes on with them, I feel like no one breaks up with someone unless the feeling is completely gone, because or unless you've been cheated on or something really bad, like you got hit by your partner, like he beats you up, or he's a drunk addict, and something that you can't deal with, and then that's when you're like, nah, I can't deal with this anymore. Or if you got cheated on, something like that. But just the fact of going through a tough time, like being arguing a lot. Some people like go through a tough week or a tough month. Sometimes you go through a tough year even. But like I don't think that's reason like enough to not want to be together. Like that's how I say every time I've broken up with exes, or every time any of my friends broken up with exes, that's because they weren't even arguing anymore. because I didn't even care enough to argue. The feeling was gone. It did not care anymore about that person. So I don't understand what he thinks. Like, how we've been arguing too much with not working out. That doesn't really like sinking in my head. Because if you have feelings, you're going to fight to the end. You know, you're going to keep trying. Like, there's so many things that you can do to try to make the relationship work. Because, like, we break up, you find another boyfriend, they're probably going to have other things that bother you, the same things, but there will still be things that bother you. So unless, like, it's a very big issue, like they beat you up, or they're addict or something like that, or they cheat on you, like that's not, you have to work through small issues, because issues like other couple will have. So that's just how I see it, and I don't know why he thinks just like, oh, we're not working out, we're arguing too much, so bye.
I agree. I agree. It was a complete overreaction. And the curious thing to me is you stopped doing what you're normally doing, which is beg him to stay. And it's almost like he needed that to stay for whatever reason. And so the fact that you didn't beg him to stay and he's gone. But also, Carolina, you had to do something about that. Really,
because I couldn't keep going with it anymore, because the fact is, like, okay, so leading up to it, what I've done wrong, like, I've obviously been thinking about it a lot. So what I've done wrong leading up to it, we were after I begged him to stay, like I said to you before, like, every time I do this, beg him to stay and everything, like, after that, I feel really shit about myself. Like, I just, and this time I think was even worse. Like, for the first, like, it has happened, like, now looking back, I can see that has happened every time. But this time was probably even worse, because this time I actually begged so much. I was crying like a baby. I feel like I felt humiliated. And even though I put myself in a position, I was the one to beg, like, he let me, like, he could have not let me be, like, humiliating myself like that. But anyway, I feel like in the first, like, 3 days, 4 days, I don't know, maybe up to a week sometimes, some of these fights, when we get back together, I'm so thankful that he gave me another chance, and I'm just so happy and have that positive energy, and I'm doing everything, like, for us to be happy. But then after those few days are gone, I feel like I start resenting him for the humiliation. I feel like I start resenting him for like saying all the hurtful things that he says when he's arguing, that he doesn't love me anymore, that he doesn't break up with me because I always cry like a baby and don't let him break up with me, because all of the things that he says, I just feel like I resent him from all of that, and I hate on him for that. So I start just distancing myself, and I start being a bit cold, and, like, I withdraw a little bit. So I start being cold and just a bit mean, and and this last time, I think because the humiliation was the biggest since like the beginning. So I literally felt like so I was just resenting him inside so much, and I was just being like, I didn't care anymore. I wasn't booking, like, usually I used to always plan things for us to do for the weekends, and I was just I didn't care anymore. I wasn't booking anything. If he's late for work, I would be upset because I want to spend time with him. I was just like, if you want to be late to work, like, I literally just, it's kind of something flipped on me, and I just didn't care. But the reason why I think it was just this anger and, maybe embarrassment for, like, all this humiliation and...
I'm really feeling for you. So where are you at now? Like, what are you thinking and feeling now?
I don't know. I'm not sure. So I was resenting him and, like, just being very cold and a bit nasty, I think, like, until this fight. And it was really a small stupid fight. I was having a surgery done on Tuesday. It was just like a lipo. I lipoed my arms, and I was just fixing something on my belly from a past surgery that I had.
Yes.
Done as cosmetic. It's cosmetic, nothing like not that I was sick or anything. And
Yeah.
then he said he was going to take me and everything. So on Saturday, when my cleaner came to clean my apartment, he asked her to clean some clothes of him. And while she was cleaning, she dumped everything onto the bed, and she found a pack of cigarettes. And so I messaged him. I was like, oh, nice, because he doesn't, like, he used to smoke before he met me, but he was never addicted. Like, he smoked like one cigarette here and there, like not even every day. So but he promised he wasn't anymore, and I really, like, it's really something that bothers me. So he had and she found a pack of cigarettes on his socks, and I was like, I messaged him. I was like, nice. Didn't say anything. He said, I'm sorry. I didn't even remember was there. He must have been there for a long time. I was like, okay. So on Tuesday I had my surgery, so he didn't go to work to take me. So I went to drive my son for school before I got ready to go to the surgery, and I used his car, and then I found another pack of cigarettes on the door of his car. So I got back upstairs, and I was just like a bit angry. So I just said to him, like, look, this is like bullshit. You know how much he upsets me that you do this, and you like, and it just shows me how much you don't care, because you're obviously not addicted. Like, a person who is addicted can't go through a day without cigarettes. You go through weeks. So, and even if you were having a really bad, stressful day and you need a cigarette, why would you buy packs? Why would you not ask someone for one single cigarette so you wouldn't have to smoke more? So I just, like, went off at him, and I said, I have been, like, not caring as much about us anymore. Like, if you don't care at all, that you wouldn't even avoid such a simple, easy thing for you to do. Like if you don't want to be with me, like, I don't care to be with you anymore. And I said all of that, and then he just said, and I was just going off saying a few mean stuff, and he just said, I've been trying to break up with you for 6 months. You don't let me, so I'm glad you finally coming to your senses. And then I got really obviously I was a bit shocked. So I got upset, and I didn't say a word anymore. So I got ready to go to my surgery, and I said, well, look, you don't have to take me, I'll find my way there. So he went to the gym, and then it's in Kellyville, so it's quite far from me, so the Uber there was like $150. So I called him. I was like, look, can you take me? I'll find a way to come back home, but can you take me? It's too last minute now. So he drove me. We didn't say a word, like, we didn't say a word the whole way there. And then when I got there, I took some painkillers before the surgery. So I ended up messaging him, just saying, look, I don't know if you're going to be home or if you're going to be gone by the time I get back. Let me just see the message so I can remember. So I was like, I don't know if you're going to be home or if you're going to be gone by the time I get back. But if you do leave, I just hope you realize that you made a mistake, and then you come back, like, like willing to properly try hard. But if you realize that you've done the right thing, like, that's probably good as well, because I'm so sick of, like, having to go through this. Like, I'm leaving you every time we have an argument. So I said all of that, and he just said to me, like, I'm walking, Lola, I'll reply to your message later. And then later he just messaged me saying, I obviously know it was wrong to smoke, I don't know why I do it, and I don't like saying what I said, like, about, like, I've been trying to break up with you for 6 months. So he's like, because it's not true, and I can see what you mean, because now it's also coming from you, because he means, like, I didn't really care much for the past like month and a half. And then he didn't go to pick me up. I didn't ask him to anyway. When he dropped me off, I was like, look, I'm gonna have a surgery, I'm gonna feel really down, so I don't really feel like seeing your face anyway. So I called a friend of mine. Why were you driving? So he heard the conversation. She had an appointment, so at 5. So she was like, oh, I can be there, but I'll be late. blah blah blah. So at the end of the surgery, I put my friends and his number down. I thought he was just going to be like, look, I'm going to, like, he was going to be there no matter what, even if I told him not to, because at the end of the day it's a surgery. I don't like comparing, but I think like sometimes of my ex, because he's 10 years older than me, and I'm sure if I was going to a surgery, even if it was a cosmetic one, it's not like that I'm sick or anything, even if I had a fight prior to it and I told him don't pick me up, he would be there no matter what, you know, just as a man. So I think it was just a bit childish of him to be like, oh, okay, like, you don't want me to pick you up, don't worry, like, you can figure out yourself. So he didn't go. So I put both of their names down. So they called him, and then he was obviously home still. And then he just messaged me saying, where is Rosie? Wasn't she picking you up? And so I was in the medication after the anesthetic. I was in a lot of pain. So when I woke up, I was like, I just want to get out of here. I want to go home. So because my friend wasn't answering her phone, I think she was still in her appointment. So I posted on my Snapchat if anyone that lived around the area could go, because I have a lot of followers. So I was like, if anyone that lives around the area could go into the hospital and sign me out, because they wouldn't let me out without company.
No, you have to be. That's right. You have to be with
and
somebody.
I was like, if someone signed me out and then just put me into a taxi, that's all I need. And then so that happened. So when I got home, he left. When I got home, he was here, and then he left for a couple of hours. I have no idea where he went. And then he came back. He went to bed. I stayed on the couch. And then next day he went to work. I was still passed out because of all the medicines when he went to work. And then when he got back, he basically came up to me and he said, well, look, like, you embarrassed me posting that on your Snapchat. People are going to think that you're single and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I was out. I didn't put one and one together. I woke up out of a surgery and I had no one there for me. So, like, I wasn't thinking straight. All I wanted was to go home. And then he was like, yeah, obviously you were thinking straight to be able to post something, like, but I'm like, yeah, but, like, you know, it wasn't like that, blah, blah, blah. I didn't mean to embarrass you. And then this whole fight blew out of proportion, and then he packed up and left. And so that's what happened. So I messaged him after, said I was devastated, that all of that obviously I wanted him back, and but I had to let him go this time because I couldn't go through that begging anymore. But if that I wanted him to figure out on his own, like, you know, if he actually loves me enough to be with me, because I don't want to be begging someone to stay with me. And so I said all of that in messages.
Okay.
And then, I haven't really... And then on Friday, I sent him some donuts at work. And that's it. Like, that's the end of it.
Yeah. Okay, Carolina, it doesn't... The only way that I think the two of you, and I'm not even sure if that's what you want. There's a couple of really big red flags. I've been trying to break up with you for 6 months. Like, that's a really big red flag. And the cycle that you're in, is that he'll say mean things, you withdraw, then you fight, then you both say mean things, then he says, I'm leaving, and you beg him to stay. Like, it's so dysfunctional. So if you were to stay together, you would have to work that out, because how could you keep living like that? It's just so unpleasant.
Yeah.
But the fact that he said, I've been trying to break up with you for 6 months, like, this is a man that's checking out. And I don't know, maybe he's not, like, he is much younger than you. Men are, you know, they're not as mature as women. So, you know, he's got a lot of sorting out to do. I understand how devastated you are, but when you think about it, actually maybe that's a good thing to do. Like, think about, I know you miss him, and I know you're lonely, and that makes it difficult, but I want you to hold, I'll have him back, but it can stay the same. It'll stay the same, or am I better off with him out of my life? Because that's your choice. Unless he comes to counselling, your choice is, I can have him back and it'll stay the same. Because you can't do all the growing and he does none. So hold, okay, I could have him back and it'd stay the same, or I don't have him in my life, and hold both of those things and just wait for about 30 seconds and see not just what comes in your thoughts, but what kind of feelings you get in your body. So, yep, I could ask him to come back, I could beg him to come back, and I don't know that he would, but it would stay the same, or I can grieve the loss of him and, maybe there's a better relationship out there waiting for me. What happens when you hold both those things?
Look, I do want him back, but
Yep.
because like I said at the beginning, I believe that like having arguments and saying mean things, all of that is just so small against like I think real reasons to if you have feelings, unless the feelings are gone.
Yeah.
But I think when you're still jealous of each other, when you're still like arguing with each other, that means you still love each other, because otherwise you wouldn't. And he is still jealous, he still like argues with me, so I think that means that he still loves me, but I could be wrong. But I think like all of that is just, I think, reason enough to give up on a relationship. It's like when it's something big, you've been cheated on, or someone like is addicted to something, some drugs or alcohol or something, and then you don't want to be in that position, or if they beat you up in fights and stuff like that. I think those are sort of like big reasons enough to give up. I think like just not getting like each other, not understanding each other, like I think that's the reason why I wanted him back.
Yeah, I hear you.
But I don't think I could go and beg him again.
Your issues are probably sortable, but not if he doesn't own. If he doesn't own his part in it, they're not sortable. Like, you might, you stepped out of, you didn't beg him to stay, and so you didn't drop into your child part. But, he says horrible things and then tells you he's going to, this isn't an adult. That's not a functional, respectful adult. So he has to change as well. And I'm not sure, Carolina, if jealousy and anger is love. Jealousy and anger is just jealousy and anger. I don't know. Love doesn't do that. I'm not saying love doesn't, but love doesn't argue all the time.
After when we get back that I bag him and stuff, I get resentful, I think, and then I just get cold. Like I'm not very affectionate, or I'm not like I become like a bit of a cold bitch, because I'm like just hating on him for everything. But he goes back to being like really loving and like a good boyfriend, go back to trying and being affectionate and always try to kiss me and hug me, and like he always tries to be like nice. It's more like me, I think, even though I don't tell him I'm resenting him, I didn't never even realize until this last time, but I do.
Yeah.
So it's not like after we get back together, he's just like, he can move on and like in a click of a finger and just go back to normal, like to being happy. But for me, because I humiliated myself so much, I can't go back to being happy. I just go back to, I'm super happy, over the moon, treating him like a prince, and so thankful for having another chance for a couple of days, a few days, and then I start getting like just really, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it just, when you talk about it, though, as you're talking about it, it doesn't sound particularly healthy, does it? Like on either side.
I feel like he pushes me away every time, these mean things that he says in the argument, and the fact that I have to beg him to say, it brings me insecurities and doubts. So, like, yeah, because all the things that he says, and he doesn't repair it as well, like we were talking about it last thing as well.
I don't think you are. So it's just, you're caught in this cycle. So he says really mean things and you're very hurt, and then you withdraw because you're hurt, and then, well, he kind of does try and repair when he's affectionate again, but it's not proper repair. And so then you just go round and round.
I feel like he never like apologized. Like when I do something wrong, I apologize.
Yeah.
Maybe people are different, I don't know, but I mean it when I apologize, and he can tell that I mean it, because I'm like, I'm really sorry. I try to explain what made me do such a thing to make sure that he knows that I understood what like what drove me to do such a thing, so that would be easier for me to avoid, like to stop it next time, because I know what made me do it. So I try to explain why I did it, such a thing, and I try to and I say, look, I'm not going to do it again, and I'll go over and over and over, like that. For example, me Snapchatting with that guy, like for example, I was like, I'm so sorry, like I'm never going to do it again, I didn't mean anything, I don't have any feelings for him or anything for him, like even if I wasn't with you, like I wouldn't, it would never, like. So I go through the whole story, and with him it's just like, I'm sorry, and he wants to get over and done with it, because he doesn't, I think he feels like I don't want to keep going on and on about it, I just want to move on, and but that for me it's not enough. So it feels like, did he actually say
so
it?
when you think about it, when you hold everything, like what's the worst of it now? When you hold all, just sort of say that I'm going to hold everything about him and me and breaking up and the fights, and what's the worst of it? What's the worst part of it?
I think him, like, I don't know, all those hurtful things that he says to me, and also that him leaving every time, both of them was equally bad.
Okay.
Packing up every time, this whole thing is like,
which is not it's not a grown-up thing to do, and it's not okay. He says hurtful things, and it's not grown up to pack up and say I'm leaving. So, okay, so when it sounds to me though that you.
I think when he says I've been trying to break up with you for 6 months, he is really saying that to hurt me. It's one more of the hurtful things that he says. It's the same thing when he says I'm not attracted to you anymore, I don't love you anymore. Like it's another thing, because we were in the middle of an argument. I think he just says that to hurt me, because like I said, when I wanted to break up with my exes, that nothing was going to stop me, and I didn't need to do it out of anger. I didn't need to leave when we were having a fight. I had no more feelings, so I just left, and like in a normal day, like listen, it's over, like I can't do this anymore, you know. So like the fact that he always ever says that when he's like, when we arguing, and like that's what makes me feel like he's just saying all of that to hurt me.
Yeah, but the thing is, why would you want to be with someone that says things when they're arguing to hurt you? Like, it's not okay. It's not. He can stop saying. I believe, Carolina, that everybody, if you realise that what's about to come out of your mouth is going to be hurtful, you can stop if you want to. Yeah. You don't have to be hurtful. So I know you might be right. He doesn't really mean it, but he's saying it. He's saying hurtful things.
Because I say hurtful things as well when we're arguing. I might not say, I don't think it's as bad what I say to him. I usually try to I don't make him doubt how I feel about him, because I don't say I'm not attracted to him. I don't say that I don't love him anymore. I don't say that I want to break up. I don't say any of those things, but I do say like, oh, you loser, you don't have like as much money like to support me. I do say kind of things like that.
Okay.
So like, which is
so,
also
okay.
as
so
hurtful.
you're owning your part in it, but it's not. Nothing you're saying is a healthy relationship. So the two of you would have to work together at having a healthier relationship, or you're actually, both of you are better apart. Like, it's no way to live, to be mean to each other. And I mean, I'm not saying obviously we occasionally do this, but if you're growing, you learn how to not do that. You learn how to speak in more loving, caring ways, even when you're frustrated. So, words when you say you resent, you get resentful, that's horrible, to be resenting your partner. And so I'm sure you're very, very upset about it and sad, and I think your word was devastated. I completely understand, but this relationship needed help to survive.
Yeah, well, I like last time when you suggested us to do like together.
Yes.
He wasn't very keen actually in the first couple of days, but afterwards he did even like suggested himself. He even said himself, let's do it. Didn't you say that your counselor wanted to do it? Like, it'd be good for us. But I think I was into that resentful mode already, and then I was the one who's like, nah, like I don't care enough anymore to waste my time or money like trying to do counseling with you. Like I was in that, like I stepped into that mood, and I don't really know why. I think because one, obviously I was resenting him, and two, I think I always start preparing myself. I was sort of started preparing myself for this to happen again. I start feeling like, oh, I'm just waiting for the next fight for him to want to leave again, and then I just like I start withdrawing myself.
Yeah.
And so I was already on that mood when he said, let's do it. And he said that like a couple of times, actually a few times, when he could feel that I was already like, withdrawing myself and just being like a bit distant. And so he did say, let's do the counseling. Didn't you say like, why don't you care as much? He was asking me, why are you acting like you don't care? And I even said to him like, look, I think you can only push someone so much, and you pushed me so much that I finally kind of fell over the edge. I feel like, I don't know, I can't really care that much at this moment for some reason. It's not like maybe I was forcing myself to not care as much because I was just scared, like because I keep thinking like he's just gonna leave again next argument, and I just can't keep like begging him to stay. So I just keep like, I don't know, scared of this happening again, and then I just... Yeah.
Okay, so actually now that you say it like that, even though he said, I've been trying to leave, I've been trying to break up for you for 6 months.
He wasn't really...
Is it you that, in fact, is thinking this relationship is over? Is it really you?
But I didn't really say it. Like, maybe I just acted like it, because he noticed that I didn't care because I wasn't booking anything anymore. If he booked anything, I'd be like, yeah, sure, if you want to.
Yeah, so I guess that's what I'm asking you, Carolina. Is it you that was making a decision that this relationship was, should end? Is it you that was thinking that?
Maybe deep inside, I'm not sure. Not like, I obviously didn't want it to end, but I just needed him to want to stay, or to
Oh, okay.
Because I can't keep doing it where I'm the one who needed him to stay. I wanted him to want to stay and tell me that he wanted to stay.
Okay, there it is. I needed him to want to stay. Okay, so
there
it is.
To, like, when he says the hurtful things, I know I say hurtful things as well, but like just proper apologize for it so I can move on. Because when he's just like, I'm sorry, and try to move on, it's not enough for me. So I go into this resentful mood where I just reject him a little bit.
But I mean, you've just said it there. This is the issue. I think this is the underneath of your relationship with Peter. I needed him to want to stay, so you kept begging him to stay. But in fact, what you want from him, which he's not giving you, is, I would never leave you. I will always be here from you. Even when we have big fights, we'll work it out. And he's not. So the biggest need you've got is to be with someone who wants to stay. Yeah. And sadly, isn't it funny how this happens? So that's your biggest need. Can you see that? Your biggest need is for the person that you're with to want to stay, no matter what. No matter if you're cold, no matter if you're distant, no matter if you're not planning things, no matter if you say mean things, you want someone to say, they might say, I want you to stop being mean, but they would say in the next breath, I love you, I want to stay. Yeah. But what happens with Peter is, that's your big need. You want him to stay, but he says, I'm out. So he directly contradicts this big need you have of the man you're with to want to stay.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, but I feel like he's been doing this packing up and wanting to leave thing since the very first fight, since we were together for like a couple of months. And like every big fight that we have, like every couple of months, this packing up thing and wanting to leave, it happens. So, and then at the beginning, we were like obsessed with each other head over heels for each other, and he still had this need of like packing up and leave, that's what makes me think it's not true that he's been trying to break up for 6 months, because otherwise he would have been trying to break up since the first month. So I think it's something to do with himself, just like me feeling abandoned. It's me with my own problems growing up. I think this
exactly
packing
right.
up things is nothing to do with me, because if he was over it, he wouldn't go back from a fight trying to be like being so affectionate, being able to go back to normal. Like if he actually wanted to break up with me and didn't love me anymore, he would just, I don't know, maybe I'm in denial and that's what I wanted to believe, or I don't know, but maybe that's what it is. But I feel like if he didn't love me anymore and actually wanted to leave, he didn't have to wait and to do it in an argument.
But I mean, that's what he does it. That's when he does it, because he's a grown-up's not in the room. If you think about this, I don't know if you did this when you were young, but lots of kids do. Their mother rouses on them and they say, well, I'm leaving home. Yeah. You can't make me stay. I'm packing my bag. You know, I can remember one of my sisters doing that, and Mum helped her pack. Like, that's not a grown-up. A grown-up in the middle of the fight doesn't say, I'm going to pack up and leave. A grown-up in the middle of the fight says, we are fighting. I don't want to do this anymore. Let's both settle down. Let's have a discussion about what this is really about. So when he packs up and leaves, that's not a grown-up. That's not a respectful, functional adult. That's a kid. In the same way that you beg him to stay is a child part, is a very young part. So he's got it. You're exactly right, Carolina. You've got to sort out your bit, which is about begging and feeling abandoned. But he's got to sort out this ridiculous thing that he does, which is every time he has a fight, he says, I'm going to pack up and leave. Not, we're fighting, I'm worried we're fighting, what can we do about it? Let me calm down, let's talk about it. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, at the minute, obviously you're apart. Without help, your relationship, I don't think you can do it on your own, because you haven't been able to. So without help, this is not a relationship. This relationship will continue to be dysfunctional. So either the thing is...
But what do I do now? He left and we haven't spoken for days.
Yeah, so now you're grieving. You're grieving the loss of a idealised version of what you wanted him to be.
But I mean, I feel like he has, lately, our relationship is not that awful, to no, we have to break up, because obviously being a girl, all my friends come to me for advice and stuff. They have fights all the time too, for stupid reasons too as well, or mean things that the boyfriends do,
what do you want to do? Do you want to reach out and say you want to try? Is that what you're saying?
But I don't, I really do, but at the same time I just can't do it anymore. I don't want to feel like we're just together because I begged him and asked him to stay. I think I got to a point where I needed him to want to stay and show me that he wants to be with me. Because I feel like, yes, we fight, but we've had so many memories. We've just been so many countries and holidays together. We we live together. We have really good life together. Yes, the last few months it's been really hard. We've been maybe arguing a bit more, or this packing up thing and me being distant and being a bit mean has been happening and stuff. But it's not like we have a horrible relationship where we, I don't know, we cheat on each other, or my girl.
Okay, but I mean, at the moment you're ambivalent. So there's part of you that wants to reach out to him and try again, and there's part of you that thinks...
I think it's because I've been the one reaching out every single time. I think I would rather lose him this time than having to do that again, because the feeling afterwards, from if it happened like a was kind of me sometimes and him sometimes, or even if it was me most of the times, but him at least some of the times, it would have been okay. But because it's only me every single time, I can't help but to feel like rejected after we get back together, and that's why this pattern keeps happening, because then I get resentful and treat him badly after.
Well, I mean, I think the thing is, you said it before, you needed him to want to stay, and that's not what he's doing. So every time there's a fight, he says, I'm out, and you need to be with someone who wants to stay. So he would have to stop that pattern, his pattern of when he fights, he acts like a child and says, I'm going, I'm packing my bags and going. So if he could work on that and not do that, then maybe there's a chance. I don't know. I think, Carolina, I can see your sadness, and it's always hard when these things happen. But I think you've got to sit with, do I want to reach out and try again, which means you'd have to do some sort of counselling, I think. I don't think you'll be able to do it on your own. Or do you want to move on? And because what you really need, whether it's Peter or someone else but you need a man who wants to stay with you. And in fact, if you were going to say anything to Peter, that's what you'd be saying. When you tell me you're going to leave, what I've realised is what I need is a man who wants to stay. And and if he can hear that need and he wants to respond to that, but I'm not sure he even wants to come back. So you need to have a sort of bit of a think about, and maybe if you want to you don't have to obviously make another session with me, but maybe we can have a conversation about, what I'd like you to do is sit with, do I want to reach out and try again, or do I want to move forward? Do I want to grieve the loss of this relationship, and it hurts when these things happen? You just have to be really gentle with yourself. So that's what you've got to hold. Do I want to reach out and try, or do I want to grieve the end of this relationship and move forward? So those are your two choices. So I want you to sit with both of those. And then maybe once you've kind of sat with them, because you'll have to sit with them, if you decide to reach out and try, then we can talk about the best way to go back to him. But it will have to have in it, I want to be with someone who wants to stay. Those words will have to be there, because that's your big thing. That's why you get resentful, because he acts like he doesn't want to stay, and you need to be with someone who wants to stay. And that's directly related, in my opinion, to your childhood. So sit with that, sit with it for a week. If you want, make another appointment with me, or get back to me if you want to make one. But I want you to sit with, do I want to reach out and try, or do I want to grieve the loss of this relationship and move forward? And then if you do want to reach out and try, we can talk about what sort of words you could use that would help it happen. How does that sound?
Yeah, okay, sounds good.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's really sad, the ends of relationship. There's a lot of research around this. Your heart breaks. That's why they say it's a broken heart. And the part of your brain that lights up is the same part that lights up when people are super depressed. So, it's the impact is hard. It doesn't last forever, but you're right in the middle of it. So it's really, really devastating, was your word right now.
I feel really depressed, because every time I've broken up, with an ex, like I said, I had no more feelings whatsoever. So it was really easy. It felt relief after.
Yes.
Didn't. Yeah. So this time, because obviously I still had feelings, so I'm struggling.
But this hurts more because of what he triggers in you, because of your dad. You want a man who wants to stay, and he keeps saying, I'm out of here. And that triggers all this deep hurt in you. So it's doubly hurtful. It's hurtful anyway, and then it's doubly hurtful. So I just want you to sit with the two choices. Do I want to reach out and try? And he might reject that, mind you. We can't be assured that he'll reach back. Or do you want to move forward? He doesn't meet a big need in you. And the big need is to be with someone who wants to stay, not to be with someone who thinks it's okay every time you fight to say, I'm leaving. That's not who you need to be with. So Peter would have to change that. He would have to change that. I don't know if he can. Maybe he can. He probably doesn't even know he's doing it in the terms of how it's affecting you. But yeah. Anyway, I've actually got to go because I've got another client. Sorry, and we've run on 50 minutes anyway, even though I was a bit late getting back to you. Okay. Do you want to make another appointment now, or do you want to get back to me?
Yeah, no, I can make another appointment now.
All right. So when suits you?
Next Monday is fine.
Next Monday?
Oh, Monday is public holiday, though.
It is a public holiday, that's right. It is, yeah.
Tuesday?
I don't think I can do. It's a bit hard. I've got 1:30, 2:30, 3:30, 4:30, and then next week I've got a 6 o'clock. Now, all those people will probably book again, so I can't do the morning on Tuesday. Is Wednesday all right? Could you do Wednesday?
Yeah, Wednesday is fine.
Can we do 3 o'clock on Wednesday?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so 3 p.m. on Wednesday. Or does the morning suit you better?
Yeah, morning is good.
So what time in the morning?
10, 11.
I could do Wednesday morning. Wednesday, when will I be back from... Because I work in a school on a Wednesday morning. Can we do 10:30? Is that all right?
Yeah, 10:30.
Let's do 10:30 on Wednesday, all right? That suits you better than 3? Okay. Yeah. All right, let's do 10:30 on Wednesday. 10:30 on... Oh, it's the 12th, isn't it?
Yeah.
10:30 on Wednesday the 12th. Okay, I will see you then. Go gently. Go really gently. It's hard. What's happening is really hard. Okay. And sadly, there's no getting around it. It hurts. So just go really gently. That's my only suggestion. I'm sorry, it's not nice at all. I know it doesn't feel like it, but you will get through it. But right now you're in it. No matter what happens, you'll get through it. Okay.
All right.
All right. Okay.
Thank
Go
you.
gently. I'll talk to you next week. See you.
Okay, see you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.